Welcome to Your Need to Know. I'm your host, Catherine Reed, and tonight we're talking with Harmonie Taddeo. She is the Executive Director of Western Fairfax Christian Ministries, also known as WFCM, which serves clients in the western part of Fairfax County. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Harmonie.
Thank you so much for having me, Catherine.
So, Harmonie has been working on a number of new programs, as well as the programs that Western Fairfax Christian Ministries have been running going all the way back to their founding in 1987. They were founded by 12 different faith communities to meet and serve the needs of the people in Western Fairfax County. And so that collaboration goes on. They're still very much supported by a number of faith communities, the Rotary Club that I belong to, the Rotary Club of Centreville, Chantilly, and they collaborate with any number of nonprofit organizations that we're going to hear more about tonight. So I'll turn it over to you, Harmonie, to talk a little bit about your basic programs and the things, that have been mainstays for WFCM for a number of years now.
Thank you. As you mentioned, we're very fortunate to have a great supporter base, and then as well to have been able to grow our programs during this really challenging time to continue to meet the growing needs. So WFCM is really focused on two main programs, which are our emergency financial services and our client choice food pantry. But we also offer a number of supplemental, what we kind of refer to as compassion services, and our Pathways to Success financial stability program. So our first program that I mentioned, the financial assistance, we were able to provide over $1.1 million in rent and utility assistance last year. And that is in part due to the generosity of businesses, congregations, and individuals who came forward with anywhere from their stimulus check that they received to thousands of dollars to support rent and utility needs for those who were not directly impacted by COVID. And then federal funds that filtered into Fairfax County through the CARES Act funding and the emergency rent assistance programming for those who were, which would pay up to 15 months of assistance for those who've been out of work that whole time. So we've been able to really continue to meet both of those needs. People who are on SSI, people who are on a fixed income Social Security, people who are day laborers, 10-month employees, as well as those who might have been employed, for example, in a restaurant, in a retail location, and really severely impacted by COVID. The second program is our Client Choice Food Pantry, which is set up very much like a small grocery store. And our clients make appointments and come in once a month. The groceries that they choose last them about 2 weeks, they tell us, anywhere from dairy items such as milk and eggs to shelf-stable items like vegetable oil, flour, sugar, baking needs, canned goods. And then in addition, we provide toiletries, which aren't covered by SNAP benefits. So that's really important to a lot of our clients. During the pandemic, we have been fortunate to partner with the DC Diaper Bank, and we are a emergency diaper hub, which has allowed us to distribute last fiscal year, over 92,000 diapers, 100 per baby every 30 days. So that's been a great new partnership. We've continued our partnerships with Cake for Kids to provide birthday cakes made by volunteers for kids up to 23 years old. We continue to partner with Shepherd Center of Western Fairfax, and they provide, so pre-pandemic, they provided rides to our food pantry and back for people who were 50 and older. But during the pandemic, they were doing also deliveries for those who weren't as comfortable coming. And we partnered with NV Rides, who would also do deliveries. So we were able to also stretch and not just cover those 50 plus, but others with transportation needs as well.
And I'm going to jump in here and suggest that many of us have not considered the fact that contactless deliveries was a way that we could safely volunteer. Like up until you mentioned this, I did some pickup and deliveries for a couple of nonprofits during COVID. But as far as people who pick up a delivery of groceries and deliver it to one of your clients, that is another way of supporting nonprofits that probably many of us just didn't think about. And yet here you are, and there were people who actually did that for you, which is amazing.
There were, and it really became something that was more needed than ever as people were sick, for example, or quarantined. Maybe they had a sick family member, couldn't come to get their food, but obviously still in need of the food. And so it was a great opportunity for people to be able to just pick up and leave that food right on their doorstep for them, and provided just another option for convenience for clients and another way for volunteers to plug in, as you just mentioned.
And that's it. People are always looking for volunteer opportunities. And again, you mentioned that you have sort of a grocery store set up for a food choice pantry. And again, people can donate they can donate funds, but certainly people can also donate things at your location in Chantilly. And your website has information about the hours of donation and what is specifically needed. So if you're one of the people who are our viewers and it's like, I've never heard of WFCM and I didn't know they had a location in Chantilly, I just want to make sure people understand your website has all kinds of information about donation and volunteer opportunities.
That's right. And while we do partner with a number of grocery stores and purchase food from Capillary Food Bank and Restaurant Depot, certainly a number of the food items that we get are also from neighborhood food drives, the Boy Scout food drive, and individuals who might say, take a look at our most needed item list on the website and be willing to go out and purchase large quantities of either toiletries or food items, which is really helpful. We serve around 600 families each month. So as you can tell from that, just milk by itself, we purchase about 150 gallons or half gallons of milk every single week. So there's items that we're purchasing that are perishable, and then there's also non-perishables like canned goods that we want to make sure that we have for everyone, and then other items that come from the grocery stores, such as meat and prepared sandwiches and things like that are really wonderful for our families.
Well, one of the things when you talk to our Rotary Club that captured my imagination, I'm so excited, is your refrigerator program. Like, it's a program. And, to the logical conclusion that some of the food people need, basically, eggs and milk being the first two that all of us recognize are in the refrigerators of families, eggs and milk. They're not shelf stable. They have to be refrigerated, being able to deliver them in a safe way. So you are actually taking the refrigerators to where people need the items. So tell us a little bit about that. I'm really, really excited about this program.
Yes. So last year, as the needs grew, we realized that we needed to supplement our client choice food pantry. And we started going and doing neighborhood distributions. And we were taking a lot of the fresh food items, such as bread and milk and juice and any kind of deli meats, things that were in our pantry. And we wanted to help get out to people before they expired, and knowing that these are more expensive items for people to purchase. So once we were able to kind of take a deep breath from the really high of the pandemic, where people were lined up, hundreds of people, to get those fresh foods every week, we decided that we needed to find a more dignified and flexible for people, or convenient way for people to get these fresh food items. So we've come up with a free food fridge program, and we started with putting a refrigerator in the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Washington, and then we put one in Centreville Immigration Labor Resource Center, and now a third one is going in Chantilly High School. And basically with these refrigerators, all of them are different in terms of what we put in them because the audiences are different. For the Boys and Girls Club, we put in a lot of deli meat, cheese, fresh fruits, things that yogurt, things that they can basically make for breakfast and lunch when they were there during their summer camp. And now we've changed a little bit as they're back to school for items they can have for after school and then taking home with them. At the Labor Center, we find that there are certain items like the prepared sandwiches, juice, also still fruit, that the day laborers can easily take with them to a job site. But then also when there's classes held there, there's definitely a desire for more of the family size food. As we're now moving into the school systems, what Chantilly is asking us to do is really think about items for Fridays that the kids can bring home with them for the weekend that would make good lunches and breakfasts. So we're back again to that idea of yogurts and string cheese, deli meat, tortilla wraps, things like that we can pack a lot into a commercial size refrigerator to serve a lot of kids over a 2-day weekend before they're able to come back and get their free lunch program food again.
And so you're hoping, so the school system, and we have the 10th largest school system in the United States. So working with the school system, never easy. And so when you told us that the schools had approved this, that Scott Brabrand, the superintendent, had said, yes, this refrigerator could go into Chantilly, this is sort of a pilot program, right? And so all of these are pilot programs, really. But you do have high hopes that this could be a program that could be established in other places that really have students and families that need fresh food.
We do. So at WFCM, we serve 8 zip codes in Western Fairfax County. And so we are certainly talking with other elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools where we know the need is great, especially some of the Title I schools where we would love to put a refrigerator. But we're also talking to our partners across the county, United Community, Food for Others, Echo, who are food providers who might also be interested in putting refrigerators in schools in the neighborhoods where they serve. We'd love this to be equitable across the county and be able to see more refrigerators and providers being able to put those in. An exciting program that I mentioned to the Rotary, it was that 6 food providers across the county are all providing holiday food for Thanksgiving for the Meals on Wheels clients this year. So again, just really trying to look at ways that we can reach people where there might be gaps and do it in an equitable way. So with each of us serving those in our region, which for Meals on Wheels, it's over 600 clients. But when you break that down, it's no more than 200, in some cases as small as 20 in a particular zip code area. We can ensure equitable service to all.
And that you did talk about that. You talked about how you are collaborating not just with Meals on Wheels, but with nonprofits that you have not worked with before, and that this coming together. And I think the county, Fairfax County, has tried to facilitate some of this introduction and help making sure that you're eliminating redundancy, number one, and the fact that everybody who needs services is getting some services from somebody. And so I was very intrigued by some of the new partnerships that you have. We have to go to a break here real quick, so I'm going to ask you to hold that thought on some of the new partnerships that you have. But again, I encourage people to go to WFCMVA.org, which is the website for Western Fairfax Christian Ministries. There's a tremendous amount of information about their programs, how you can donate, and the services and programs they can provide, because you out there may have some potential collaborations for WFCM as well. So please join us after the break. We are talking with Harmonie Taddeo of WFCM.
As they head toward the finish, Warren has built a substantial lead and headed for her 4th gold medal.
She's ahead of the world record pace by at least half a second, and oh, wait, what's she doing?
I think she's doing a headstand. Why would she do that?
She's stopping. She stopped.
I've never seen
She was so
anything
close
like
to the
this.
finish, and she stopped. I mean, this is unbelievable. Yeah, I've never.
What are you looking for?
Freedom. It's at the core of who we are. The freedom to live without fear, to jog where we please, to wear a hoodie. The freedom to breathe. Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because all lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
When I was your age, I was just like you, fascinated by stars. But now I get to search for life in the universe. And who knows, maybe life is looking for us too.
So we're like aliens to them?
Yeah. Does anyone want to be a scientist now?
I do.
Awesome. We need more girls in STEM.
Maybe we can find aliens.
Your blood pressure numbers could change your life. Talk to your doctor about creating a plan that works better for you. Start taking the right steps at manageyourbp.org.
Welcome back to Your Need to Know. I'm your host, Catherine Reed, and tonight we're talking with Harmonie Taddeo. She is the Executive Director of Western Fairfax Christian Ministries, fondly known in the county as WFCM. Thank you so much for being here, Harmonie. You told so many wonderful stories at my Rotary Club, and one of them was about collaborations with new partners, one in particular that was just the best story about how when people come together, things fall into place in almost inexplicable ways to meet needs that people have. So please share with our viewers this wonderful story.
Happy to. So really back toward the beginning of the pandemic in that March to May timeframe of 2020, the county had began to have meetings every 2 weeks, really trying to bring together food providers, financial providers, brainstorm, figure out ways we could work together. We all remember that the food chain supply was really tight at that time, and a lot of us were purchasing food from restaurants and grocery stores in bulk and just different ways than we ever had before. And a new partner was on that call, and they were our ICNA Relief. And they are predominantly a Muslim faith-based organization, and they were struggling to get the food that they needed for their Ramadan boxes. So they put out a call for, does anyone have flour, rice, oil, some of these basic items that we need? And we had just received thousands of pounds of flour from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and St. Lucy's Project literally a couple of days before. So we responded and said we would be happy to help with the flour. And it started a great partnership where we were able to provide thousands of pounds of flour for that Ramadan offering. This year we continued and provided rice again. But then what they did was, when we were providing food through 8 different neighborhoods throughout the year on Mondays and on Fridays, we knew they had this great truck. And so they took on distributing food to one of the low-income senior apartment complexes in Herndon, working with us in a new way than they had done before. So as my counterpart Amar had shared, we are faith-based, not faith exclusive. And it was just an awesome opportunity for us to work together because we have really the same goals, right? We want to make sure that everyone has the food that they need and that they're housed. And then, of course, those compassion services.
I think looking back at some point when someone does a project to gather COVID stories from the pandemic, these are going to be the things that are going to be the best of people reaching out to help each other. Like, we were all in this together. We looked for ways to have each other's back. Different communities came together in different ways to support each other. And I just particularly love this story. So hang on to that one. Talk a little bit about the clients that you serve and how you determine what kind of assistance people get, what services they need. Give us a little bit of a profile of how you process your clients.
Absolutely. So really the reason that we were formed back in 1987 by those 12 congregations was so that we would be able to vet our clients and provide the needs to them in a really succinct manner. And as you mentioned, not duplicating efforts, but not letting there be any gaps. And so for us, we previously served clients earning up to 200% of the federal poverty income guidelines. We've raised that to 250% this year because of the increase in minimum wage and some other factors that we knew that people certainly were not earning enough to get by on their own, but yet we didn't want them to fall into an unintended consequence based on that slight increase. So what that means is that's basically around $60,000 for a family of 4. But 75% of our clients earn no more than 125% of the FPIG, which is down around $33,000 a year. So it's really a struggle for them to be food secure and financially secure on a regular basis. And so once we certify our clients, which is just checking on the residents, so we make sure that they do live in one of the 8 zip codes that we serve. We look at the income for the household and then the number of people in the household. So once we're sure that they're within that 250% and living here, then we certify them for an entire year. That means that they can come and get food in our food pantry every 30 days. We ask them about other needs. So I mentioned the Cake for Kids program in terms of birthday cakes. We check about diapers. We check about, do they have access to laundry facilities, because we have a program for that. So we go through and look at all of the different services. And then we also look into the financial needs. And so if they need rent assistance or utility assistance, the time of year that would be best. If they're in a crisis right that moment, then obviously we provide that support. And then for long-term financial stability, we partner with Bright Paths so that all of the clients who receive financial assistance also take a financial class or a budgeting class, and they can do that online or in person. And so our goal there is that if they are able to do some restructuring, if they are able to get back to work, they'll have those tools to help them into the future. We really do have a mix of clients that are just with us for a short period, which is always our goal, to be able to help them in that critical time and get them back on their feet. So maybe 3 months of food and 1 month of rent assistance, and then they're back to work and they have those tools that they've learned and those contacts that they've made. But then there are some that are with us longer term because they're long term on a fixed income. And so we also want to make sure that those county residents remain housed and fed.
That's true. And you bring up something important, that two things actually, is that sometimes people are in a crisis situation and they just need a little bit of help until they can get to a different place. There are people who face longer term challenges and they really do need those skills, how to create a budget, how to save, how to pay off old debts. And so they can get free and clear to a more stable place. But then a lot of times when we talk about seniors, particularly who are on a fixed income, it's a little harder to solve some of the problems for people on a fixed income, especially who are older. And so I think your client base really reflects the complexity of the situations people live in here in Fairfax County.
That's right. It's a really diverse client mix in terms of individuals, large families, families with kids in the school system, families with kids who are younger than the school system, multi-generational households, and seniors. And so, there is really, fortunately, individual care. So we, certify each of our clients on an annual basis, and it's an opportunity to really, if we can't do so more frequently, see where they're at and what their needs are. And as we continue to evolve our services, do we have additional resources that we can provide, and or additional partners and connections that we've made that can help them along the way. So as we've been able to work more with other groups in the county and partner across, it may be that we now have more information, more resources that we can provide than we have in the past. And that's certainly our goal. One example of that is Novec. We work with Novec now as part of their Operation Roundup. And that enables us to have funds specifically to pay Novec bills. And so if we see that someone's in a real crisis, and especially a short-term crisis, and I think I shared with the Rotary a story of a client we had that was a massage therapist and had cancer and had to stop working for 3 months. So we knew that there was going to be this gap of 3 months to help this person stay housed and stay fed, and also handle other bills. And so we were able to partner with other organizations to help and ensure that rent was paid. And then we were able to additionally pay the Novec bill, and obviously the food, and then provide some compassion services as well through a donation of a chemo care kit that we had from a church. So the more that we can fully work with someone through partnerships and through grants is really our goal, because that's ultimately a success story when she was then healthy again and back to work. And those are really the people who then come and want to give back because they're thankful for the help that they were given, which is all only through other members of the community, many of whom have either been in those situations before themselves, so they understand, or they're so blessed that they haven't been in those situations and really want to reach out. And that goes all the way back to the beginning of our conversation with people who were willing to donate their stimulus funds because they said, I got these funds, but I'm housed, I'm fed, please use this to pay the rent of someone who's struggling right now. So it really is just a collective impact and a community effort to help those in need in our community.
Well, I love that, because what a great thing to do with your stimulus check. I mean, and again, a lot of people might have done that if they thought of it, and a lot of times we just don't think of it. I would like to hear about the Sully Community Center. When we were talking about the refrigerator program and the different places that you're going to pilot this, in our Rotary meeting, you had mentioned the Sully Community Center, and I don't know exactly what the timeline is for opening in that, but there's going to be a number of services that are going to be offered there. Am I right?
That is right. The Sully Community Center is slated to open next summer, summer 2022, with a wonderful rec center and partners, and two of which are WIC and HealthWorks. And so we have partnered with them to put a refrigerator so that when they are meeting with clients and patients and they assess that there's food insecurity, they can immediately reach into a refrigerator and grab out some of those healthy items that we were talking about, whether it's milk or juice, and give them to them, as well as a referral to WFCM for more substantial food. So we're really looking forward to being part of that community center and working with those different partners who will be there.
You know, I think it's exciting too, and I did not even know that was out on the radar. So that was another bit of intel that made me very excited about your presentation. So you've got your 14th annual fall fundraiser coming up on October the 8th. Of course, COVID has impacted how you do that. It's different this year. It was different last year, but still, this is a signature event for WFCM. Explain how that's going to work this year.
That's right. So with any fundraiser, we have two main goals. One is raising awareness. It's so important, just like you're giving me the opportunity today to be able to share about the needs in our county as well as the solutions. And then, of course, to fundraise for our operations. So we always need to make sure that we're here and able to pay for our rent and our utilities, keep our power on to continue serving the clients that we serve. So this fundraiser, we hope to do just that and to be inspiring, you know, especially during this time that's really a challenge for all of us, right? We are all living through the crisis that we are helping people to live through. And so we have a program that will be available on YouTube for anyone to watch. And so they can go to our YouTube channel on October 8th, and that program will be available. It will have D'Angelo Hall, who's a former Washington football team player, as our inspirational keynote. We have one of our board members, Deb Forbes, who is an author who has written a beautiful poem that she will read, and music by Sweet Nova. And then as well, we'll have just a lot of photos and video showing the work that we do here at WFCM and how people can get involved in that work. So we're excited to share that. And we will have some people who have purchased tickets to be able to be on site on the outside patio of Lazy Dog that day as well. So like you said, trying to come up with creative ways to safely get together and again, talk about the needs and the solutions.
Well, thank you very much. It's always exciting when this event rolls around. I always love hearing about what WFCM is doing, Harmonie, and I hope our viewers will choose to be involved. Thank you so much, Harmonie. For those of you at home, this is what you need to know about Western Fairfax Christian Ministries.